Okay, so for this last video, I'd just like to share my experience when I first started doing this taking action while keeping an open mind concept. Um, so when it first started out, I was in Edmonton and I was freaking out about one thing or another. And my girlfriend at the time, she suggested I try yoga because that was something that she used quite a bit of to relieve her stress. So I said, okay, I'll try it. And I go to the yoga studio, and the yoga instructor could see that I'm new, so he just has me do sun salutations for an hour. So I basically got nothing out of that. But as we're walking out, she notices a form on the wall that says that the same guy runs like a meditation seminar on Saturday. So she's like, "We should try that. Meditation could be very helpful to you." I'm like, "Okay, let's try it." So that Saturday, I go back, I try it, and he's explaining some concepts, but I'm not really picking it up, and I'm quite confused about the whole thing. And once again, when I walk away, I feel like I've gotten nothing out of it. But being the way my anxiety was, it did go away eventually, and things were pretty good for a while. The next time things got really bad, we were both back in Ontario. And once again, she was making suggestions to me. Same suggestions, turns out. She tells me, you try this yoga studio, You didn't really connect with that instructor, so maybe this one will work better for you. I'm like, okay, I'm desperate. I got to try anything. So I do. I go there, and he turns out to be the worst one I've ever seen. He's very militaristic, and yeah, I got nothing out of it once again. Then we go to my family doctor, and the only option he can suggest aside from medication is this thing called mindfulness-based stress reduction. It's a program that it's like 10 2-hour courses or 10 2-hour classes that basically it's all about meditation and learning the concept behind it. But it was really hard to get into because every class they'd start by making us sit quietly for 20 minutes and trying to understand the concepts of meditation. It was like that's not a good way to start people into it. Make them do it for 5 minutes maybe, and that's pretty good. The last 15 minutes they're just going to be screaming to get out of there. So in the end, I didn't really get too much out of that, but I started to get a little bit of an understanding. The next thing she had me try was called Sahaja Yoga. And this was the first time something actually happened. It's not actually yoga; it's more of a meditation practice, but it's got a spiritual background to it. And basically, they have this one practice that they do where they'll put their hand on their chest and they'll say a certain mantra, and then they'll put their hand on their forehead and they'll say another mantra, and then they'll put one behind their head and they'll say another mantra again. And the one that really got to me, I had to put my hand on my neck and I had to say, "Mother, please help me to forgive everyone for everything, including myself." And in that moment, something washed over me. It was the first time I felt like I was connected to something bigger than myself. It really was my first spiritual experience. I was in a state of deep anxiety in one moment, and then in the next, I was in like this euphoric sense of elation and sudden understanding, that kind of thing. So, like for the 2 years leading up to that, I was really hating this person who used to be a good friend. We kind of butted heads at the end, and then that was it. We weren't friends anymore, and I hated him for that. And it would pop into my mind at least once a day. It was really kind of like a black mark on my soul. Anyway, as soon as that happened, that mantra, as soon as I said that, um, I suddenly was able to forgive him for all of the perceived wrongs that I felt he did to me. And as soon as I did that, I realized that it wasn't him that I needed to forgive. It was myself I needed to forgive for my own contribution in contributions to leading that friendship to a failure. And then I did. I did forgive myself. And that's why spirituality is my fifth value and forgiveness is my sixth, just because of that one thing that happened. But it didn't cure my anxiety. I was still, I had these two things, but I still dealt with anxiety all the time. So my girlfriend at the time, she suggested, why don't you try Reiki? My sister raves about it. You have to, try this out. It's supposed to really, really help. So she hooks me up with a Reiki lady, and I go and visit her, and she turned out to be my first guru. Even though what she was doing seemed kind of off the hook, I noticed she had a very grounded way of looking at things, and I really wanted to emulate that. I really wanted to understand her perspective better, and talking to her really made a lot of sense to me, or the things she said really made a lot of sense to me. Um, so yeah, like as time went on, like my girlfriend, she got me to try a few more things, but then we kind of discovered that we really weren't meant to be together, and we broke up. But she kind of helped me to establish a momentum that I carried forward into the following years in my life. And I could get into more stories about what didn't work and what did, but I just want to share one more here. Um, a friend had suggested that I try Tai Chi, and I decided, okay, so I go to the college and I wait in like line for half an hour, 40 minutes, and when I get to the front of the line, the person on the other side of the counter, she tells me, "I'm sorry, this class is full. You can't take it." And I was a little bit distraught over it. I mean, if I can't do this, what can I do? What can I do that can help me? So as I'm walking to the parking lot, I'm thinking, what can I do? Like, I can't accept this. I have to do something. And then I think, oh, well, what if somebody else cancels in that class? Then maybe I can take it, and then that would be great. So I go back, I wait again through the whole line, another half an hour, 40 minutes. When I get to the front, I suggest that to her. She says, "Yeah, we don't really have a program like that, but let me give you a room number and go talk to this person." So I go and talk to that person. That person ended up just increasing the number of seating for that class by one, and I was in. And because of that, I got my most valuable insight for getting off my meds. The teacher was at the front of the class. She was saying that she had gotten into a car accident when she was younger, and the doctors told her that she would never walk again. And then she looked the doctors right in the eye and she told them, she said, "I will walk again, and it's going to be because of Tai Chi." And there she was. She was walking at the front of the class. So that meant a lot to me because I had just gotten back on my meds for the last time. 2 months earlier, I was a wreck. I was an absolute ruin, and the doctors were saying to me, said, "Well, obviously you need the meds because look what happens when you're off them." And I really needed something to give me strength. And basically, what she said is, doctors can be wrong, but faith in myself can bring me through. And so I used that. And it took like a long time after that, 18 months to get off my meds, but I did, and I'm never going back on them. Obviously, I don't need to be on them. The doctors were wrong. So, you know, obviously, like at the beginning, I had my girlfriend kind of leading me through all the steps. And if you have someone in your life that will help you in this regard, I highly recommend you let them. Taking action and keeping an open mind is a little bit more difficult than just keeping an open mind. You got somebody to pull you along, and all you have to do is let them pull you along. It's obviously a helpful thing. If you don't have that, well, you got a little more work to do, but you can do it. So I feel very lucky in that regard that I had her to do that for me. Yeah, she was very patient with me. There's a lot of times when I was very emotionally unavailable, and her patience wasn't limitless. She did snap a couple of times, but I ultimately remember her just showing me, just like I say, a lot of patience. And so I just want to I'm going to use this time to say thank you, Kelsey. Thank you for showing me that insight and that method. Thank you for all the patience you had, and thank you for being you. It was. I don't regret that we broke up. I think it was for the better, but it was a good friendship, and obviously I got a great deal of value out of it. So thank you. And as long as I'm being thankful, there's this other girl that's come into my life recently, and she wouldn't want me to mention her name, but I've never done this with people before. I actually ended up leaving her several very long voicemails, and it's kind of where I discovered the format I'm using in creating these videos. I would think them out before I called, and I had to reach on certain points in a certain order, and then have like certain like key phrases that were thrown in for each point. But other than that, shoot from the hip, and that's kind of what I'm doing here, right? And it was one of these voicemails where I kind of actually discovered the most valuable insight about taking action and keeping an open mind. It was because of all of my interactions with her that kind of this all came together. So you know who you are, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you for coming into my life at the time you did. Thank you for opening up to me, and thank you for being you.